So I find a lot of time people look at like, we don't technically have to breathe, for instance. We can die. We don't have to, right? Like it's not mandatory, we can just die. But I think the only we have to in this world is we have to die. Like my buddy in Dubai, he doesn't have to pay taxes. In the US, we have to pay, we have to pay taxes, but you can move out of the US and not pay taxes. Or you go to jail. You get to go to jail. So it's interesting on perspective. I find a lot of time people think they have to do something where if you wanted to choose something else, you could. Welcome to Miami. Whatever comes to my mind at that moment. And it's interesting to be able to see, I have a kid right now that in juvenile hall that was telling his mother to go, he got a 72-hour hold for being Baker acted, and I showed up. They said he's gonna die within 30 days if somebody doesn't help him. So I show up and I see this kid, and he tells his mother every day to go F herself. And his mother calls me 2 months later after about 3 hours with him, and he saw the value of having a mentor and somebody that's gonna help him in life. His mother calls me up, I was on the beach, I remember it thoroughly one day, and she goes, he used to tell me to go F myself every day, now he tells me he loves me every day. So he understood the value of family. And I only wanted to know two things from him when he was being Baker acted. I really found two things. One, what does he value more than anything else? And it was his mother, but he was angry at his mother. And so I had him see who's in your life. Like if you want to go to jail, I said you can go to jail, I'll help you. I'll call the judge right now. If you want to go to jail for the next 20 years, I will help you stay in jail. If you want to get out. And so I give them options and opportunity a lot of time to have them make a choice. Because everybody says, no, you have to do something. And I find that pushing doesn't create intrinsic decisions, it's extrinsic a lot of time. So asking them questions and giving them options and opportunity, adults too, gets them to think and commit to something. And the second thing I wanted to know is why were you doing drugs? And I said, do you want to feel or not feel? And he told me he wanted to not feel, so which means he wants to get out of like the belief or the world or his thought patterns of what's going on. So it's interesting to be able to understand the dynamics of how people function and then what they want to do with it long term. And so he's been doing really good for the last like 6 months, and he's been on track, and he'll be out in like 6 months, and then he gets out of foster care and he'll go into college. So he's finishing his GED in juvenile hall. So it's awesome to be able to see the progress when we start getting them to like understand, like, would it be better to have to go to work and have, if you didn't go to work, you wouldn't have money and have stress and, go to jail and all this stuff? Or would it be better to get to go to work? What's the difference between have to and get to? No, you're good.
I was going to back you up. What did you ask that boy? Because that's a pretty critical situation. You asked him, what did he value more than anything else?
Is the first thing. So I wanted to know, because there was no value. So people don't do things unless they see a value in it. Right. It's what's in it for me, if you've ever heard that. So for instance, I run my nonprofit because my value is I get a feeling of purpose. So people like to make money because they get the value of being rich. You guys get the value of purpose-driven because you get to see the impact of hundreds of thousands of kids' lives. The second thing is do you want to feel or not feel? So is he trying to find feeling somewhere? And that's why he's doing drugs, like maybe fitting in, being a part of that, getting high, being happy, or is he trying to get rid of the negative feelings that he has? So I just try to see where he's at. So what's the difference between have to and like get to?
Get is a goal.
Okay.
Have to is like a force.
Getting is a choice.
It's a choice.
Make a choice.
Yeah. So I find a lot of time people look at like, we don't technically have to breathe, for instance. We can die. We don't have to, right? Like it's not mandatory, we can just die. But I think the only we have to in this world is we have to die. Like my buddy in Dubai, he doesn't have to pay taxes. In the US, we have to pay, we have to pay taxes, but you can move out of the US and not pay taxes.
Go to jail.
Or you go to jail. You get to go to jail. So it's interesting on perspective. I find a lot of time people think they have to do something, where if you wanted to choose something else, you could. For instance, apologize, when this ringer is on, when the music is on, then might go off a couple times. Took to the Wi-Fi. So when we get to, how does that feel? Like if you got to get up every day and do anything you wanted in the world, full control? Full control or just a little bit of control?
Well, I mean, I'm a spiritual person, so I give a little bit to that. So I feel a little loose on the rails, you know? So when I get to have a piece of that, there's a connectedness that's not only just me, but it's also there. So not fully, but enough. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. What else? What else comes up when you get to do something?
Achievement.
Privilege, achievement, love it.
Intrinsic rewards.
What?
It's more of a want.
More of a want, yeah. What do you get
Feel better. Intrinsically, it's better.
that? Yeah.
Fulfillment.
Feels like,
Fulfillment?
yeah. You've been given permission to do something. You get to do it.
Right? So why did you guys, I'd love to know why a couple of you guys joined as a teacher, because I think that I have a podcast, it's one of the top 100 in the country, and it's called Significance Breeds Success. So I look at the context of America as we're told to go to school, get a job, have a family, do all this stuff and be successful, and then, you know, potentially give back. And I think that servicemen and women, people that defend our country or law enforcement, and teachers are the people that make the teachers, number one, make the most impact, because you guys get them from 3 to 40, 50, 70, whatever years old, and be able to impact their lives.